Welcome to Brains Gone Bold. This is the show where we talk about whatever's on our mind. We certainly are mostly unscripted and we take a lot of detours, but we also have a lot of adventures together. So welcome along. We're happy to have you here with us. Welcome back, Jeanine.
Thank you so much. I'm Jeanine.
As though you're the guest.
Thanks.
You're not the co-host here. You're the guest today.
Okay, I'll take it. Happy to be your guest, Maria.
Yes. I have to say before we begin, I love your shirt today.
Thank you so much.
I know. I've said these things to you before, but for those who might be listening and not watching, Jeanine is wearing a shirt that says "Free Shrugs," and so it is so representative of her personality. Yes. And you have a whole collection of shirts that have messages that go along with your sarcasm, which I absolutely adore. So thank you for allowing us to be part of that today.
I appreciate that. And you know what, Maria? It's funny because when we first, this is our fourth-ish, it's our seventh episode. Wow, I don't know where I was. And when we first were starting, I was wearing, something maybe a little bit more, not I don't want to say formal, but a little bit more business casual, and decided that that's not my personality. And I want to do what I normally do. And this is one of my favorites. So thank you for acknowledging it.
It's one of mine too. So thank you. And one of these days, maybe I'll come a little bit over to that side of things, be a little bit more fun instead of just the plain black here, but that's okay. So what do we want to talk about today?
I love this topic. I really do. And I also want to point out, you mentioned that we're mostly unscripted. Do you have a script over there that I'm not aware of?
I think maybe in my head I do. I've not discussed it with you.
There's points that you want to, but we do not have a script. This is not what's written down.
I rehearse in my head plenty, but we don't actually plan it out. So, and we often don't follow that.
Well, have you ever, I know we're already going off path.
Here's the adventure.
Do you ever, when you have to perform or speak, do you go off script or do you try to stay like right in that script?
I think I often zone out or zone in, however you want to refer to it, in a way that allows me to forget my plan. So I often go off script. And I will find myself going back to whatever it is that I've said and thinking, I forgot to say this. Yes. Or in some cases, though, you end up with some good nuggets of things you weren't planning on discussing. So, it can go both ways. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. The best laid plans often.
I think about like how many times we've put certain things together and then really do go totally off script and, come back to the moments where we're like, I forgot this. But I teach speech. And so some of the things that I, try to drill into the students' heads are, have your plan, stick with your plan because that allows you to stay within the time frame. Yeah. Make sure that you hit your salient points and all the things.
Do as I say, not as I do.
I don't do them at all. I don't do it at all. I wondered when you said that, like, how do you... Yeah.
And I have found, again, we're getting way off topic here, but I have found that as a member of an audience, seeing someone else speak, you can pick up instantly when they're following a script.
Yes.
Whether it's reading or in their mind. And I find myself more quickly tuning out in those speeches.
You doing your grocery list.
Yeah.
I need to, when I leave here, I need to do this and this and that.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it takes away from that engagement.
The authenticity.
Yes. There's points, obviously, that need to be made. And I think the more skillful the speaker presenter, the easier it is for them to kind of weave through those highlights instead of speaking from a script.
Yeah.
And the more novice, like my students are, the more they need to rely on that script. Otherwise, we give them these rubrics that are so like ridiculously tough and you have to hit all these marks. And some of it is, are they following directions? And so from that standpoint, I want them to lean really heavily on that. But if they ever saw me do something, they're like, what the heck?
She's not doing what she's taught us.
Yeah. Is that even what the topic was? No. So speaking of that, our topic today.
Yes. Our topic.
A good segue?
Yeah, sure. So I think our topic today we discussed, and that was the extent of our scripting, is that we were going to talk about expectations.
Yes.
which is a big one and can apply to so many areas of life, but has come up for both of us more recently in different ways.
Yeah.
So we wanted to dive into this a little bit and we'll see where it goes. We could have quite the adventure today.
We could. Why don't we start where we originally intended for the conversation to be?
Yeah.
And then we can see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I can easily get on a soapbox with this, so please interject if I do that. For me, the way this has come up is during the past week, I was part of a meeting of other business owners. And in that meeting, there was a speaker who had come in, and fantastic speaker was talking about how you develop high-performing teams. So this was a business speaker, leadership topic, and touched on a lot of things that he has learned over his career in the military and how you develop high-performing teams. All of the points that he was making, I realized as I was sitting there taking it in, were around how managers of people should be showing up for their teams and how they create accountability and support and, show up in an empathetic way, all of these things. And he began his conversation by saying something like, people are really struggling right now. People are worried about the state of the world. They're worried about finances. They're worried about family issues. And a lot of it feels really heavy in ways that maybe it hasn't before. Yeah. And so how do we show up for them as leaders to support them in coming to work and being their best selves when they do? Which is great and absolutely necessary. And of course, very important. We teach some of this in our program too. But what it was, I don't want to say missing. I don't want to discount what he was teaching. But for me, what's often missing in these messages is the fact that managers are people who are struggling too.
Right.
And they are struggling with the exact same issues that everyone else is struggling with.
Yeah, for sure.
And I get very passionate about this because, in my own experience, and I don't know if you can speak to this as well, I found myself as a former senior leader also feeling this way of the weight of what I am carrying, both as a human and then as a leader, having to carry my team, having to carry the burdens of my team, having to show up for them is really, really heavy. Yeah. It's extremely heavy. And I did not feel like I had anyone saying to me, how can we help you? It was just expected. And so when we have these talks about, and even when we teach in leadership programs and so forth, here's what you need to be doing, here's how to do it. We're not talking with either the highest levels at the organization or even saying to those leaders, what do you need?
Yes.
What do you need in order to be able to do these things that we're talking with you about today? And to me, it is such a hugely missing piece of really helping to have effective leaders and leadership. Sure. I think I shared this story with you maybe in a different context before, but I remember in my last role before I started my business, I was going through some really tough times at work. And you're familiar with this, we in the industry, it was very difficult and at the time, and we had gone through, it was something like 15 consecutive months of mass layoffs. And as the senior HR leader whose team had to carry out those layoffs, the impact to your morale, no matter how much you try, is undeniable. And so I was trying to continue lifting my team up as much as I could. Don't know whether or not that I was successful in that. And I was really struggling myself. And I remember someone who I had been working with, who was an external partner of ours, who would advise us on these things. He had called me one day and he said, how are you doing? And I said, I'm doing okay. Thank you. I was just responding generally like we always do. And he said, no, how are you really doing? And I don't know if I shared this previously when I shared this with you, but I teared up. Yeah. I teared up. I got very emotional in that moment because I wasn't okay. I really wasn't. I mean, I was holding it together. I was being successful, however that looks. I was doing what needed to be done, but I was not okay. And so just having that one person to actually see that, you know what, as a senior leader, there's so much expected of you. And I see that you could be struggling in this. Yeah. Is so important.
Agreed.
And I just felt like that was necessary to be said in some way because the expectations that employees have when they come to work now are higher than they've ever been.
I agree.
In terms of what they expect of employers, what they expect of their managers. And in turn, the expectations that we have on those managers are higher than they've ever been. And so if at the most senior levels of the organization, you're not making a plan for how you make sure they are supported in that, there's nothing but failure on the horizon. I mean, that's my genuine opinion. Yeah. What are your thoughts in terms of your experience and what you see with others you've worked with?
For sure. I mean, I agree with you that, I certainly feel what you felt from the standpoint of trying to support your team going through this massive, change, impact, fear, all of those things. And so trying to help them navigate that. And at the end of the day, not having anybody, a peer or a trusted friend that you could speak to about what was happening. And so it is a very lonely place to be. And it feels very unsupported. And so to your point, as far as, who is supporting the managers, I'd like to believe that other managers, usually there's more. I mean, if you had just a single layer of a senior leader, a director, a manager and staff, it doesn't make sense. So usually at the manager level, there's multiples. And so having an opportunity to commiserate and, talk about your experience with other managers is very helpful. So that's one, but I agree and just see it and I feel it. And I could go back to those times when I'm driving home in my car after, whatever happened during that day and just being spent, absolutely spent because I've poured out everything I had into the team. And so when you get home, you have nothing left, nothing for your family, nothing for, anybody who needs something more, like you just spent. Yeah. And it's a terrible spot to be in. And so thinking about, hearing what you heard from that military leader and, making sure that we're supporting our team. Yeah, it's important. It is so, so, so important. But who's filling your cup? Yeah. Who is doing those things? And the expectations on us and others as leaders and not providing support, it's a misstep. It's a misstep.
Huge. And that expands into other areas. We talk about this often where not only are these huge expectations on leaders or managers, whatever phrase you want to use, it doesn't matter the level, this is applicable. But also we promote people into positions that they've never held before. Yes. And we don't give them any tools or resources often we have found in our work with companies. There's no official, here's what it looks like to do this job. And by the way, do you want to do this job? And we talk.
A lot of times people just want more money.
Yeah. Or status or title. And that's a whole other probably conversation. But I think in that, one of the important points in my view is that's the first step is having that clarity on this is what this is going to look like. And do you understand what you're signing up for?
Yeah. I don't know that there's, I don't want to say a luxury, but I don't know that for like a company, and I'll just think about not just the company that we both worked for together, but other companies that I've worked in, you need somebody to fill that job, right? And so you've got this staff and you've got this gap at the leadership level or the manager level. And to not have somebody there means that's more work on you. Mm-hmm. And so you hire somebody and then it's like, all right, I don't have to deal with that anymore. See you later.
Yeah.
And so I get it. I mean, I've probably done it, quite honestly. I say this all the time. We are not born, like when we give birth, no manual comes out for that kid, right? So you are a parent. Unfortunately. So you are a parent no matter, like that's it. You're a parent now. And so figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing about leadership, right? So you've been recognized as somebody who moves widgets really well. And you do this so well. I'm going to make you the manager of other people who move widgets. You're no longer moving widgets.
Yeah.
And so what support is there for you?
Yeah.
I am loud.
Are you hearing yourself right now for the first time?
I'm hearing myself. So what support is there for you? There's no like manual of how to be a manager.
Yeah.
And some of it's how to be a good person too. Like all in that.
Well,
I'm just saying.
And I don't know. That's a tough one to train. Tougher one to train.
Yes.
I will say though, what about in the situations where those managers are still moving widgets?
Yes.
And we've both
quota
seen
and
that.
We've both
seen that
yep.
where, continue doing what you're doing and add this on top of it. By the way, now you have 10 direct reports.
Right.
And
don't even get me started in that one. That like gives me, because there's such an unrealistic expectation. Managing people is an 80% of your day kind of job. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Instead of, you'll spend 20% with people and 80% doing this production role. That is so unrealistic and unfair. Mm-hmm. And, listen, I'm in business. I get it. I know why, especially in small businesses, everybody wears a lot of hats. And so, there's all that. But when you put that on somebody, it is so unrealistic. Those expectations, and then that poor manager who tries to meet that without any support, what are we doing to them? Mm-hmm. That I feel in my bones. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think in all of this, and I think it's on both sides of the aisle. Mm-hmm. So it's from the senior leadership position, from the manager's position, and from the individual contributor's position. Mm-hmm. The expectations need to be met instead with understanding. And so how do we do that? I mean, I know that's a big task, but I just feel so strongly like there's such a huge gap and pressure that we are putting on leaders that we just allow them essentially to sink or swim. Yeah. And in a lot of cases, even though it may not appear so, they are drowning.
Yes.
And,
for sure.
And especially today, they are drowning.
I mean, you said it yourself. You looked like you were being successful. Yeah. Your team was cared for. You were, going down the checklist and you were doing the things on the checklist. Things were getting done. Shit was happening. Like you were doing it. But you were leaving and you were depleted and you were not able. And I feel that in my bones. I've been there. I've done that. And so how do we solve for that? Mm-hmm. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, we are not.
Yeah, I don't either. And even as we're having this conversation, I'm thinking that myself. I don't know what the solution is. I'm saying that I'm almost setting expectations here. And I'm saying that the expectations should be at the highest level of the organization to make sure that you're clear on how you're supporting your leaders, your managers, and so forth. Which again, we could do this all day long. And the highest level of the organization, they're also people and also having challenges and struggles and things that the rest of us are worried about today as well. And so, where does it stop? And whose ultimate responsibility is it?
Well, truthfully, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Right. So to your point, it's every level of the organization, from the CEO to, the frontline widget mover. Right. It's all, everybody deserves to feel supported. And so I would venture to say some of it's the conversations. Some of it is actually stopping and going, no, seriously, how are you doing? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know this is a lot. Yeah. And, hopefully there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I know it's like, just listening. Yeah. Absolutely. Recognition is probably one of the biggest things. And I don't mean like rewarding. Mm-hmm. I mean recognition that's a problem. Yeah. Or it's, it's something that we're going through right now and I get it's uncomfortable. And I feel it with you.
It's huge. Yeah. Yeah. That almost validation. Yes. Yeah. Validation of this is a tough situation. And I get the fact that as a senior leader, I don't want to use the word should, but you should expect that there are higher expectations and higher pressures and higher requirements of the role. Understand that. But that doesn't mean you stop being a human and stop having feelings and stop having struggles. And so just even that small acknowledgement or that small question that came my way of how are you really doing was hugely impactful.
For sure. I think there's so much unrealistic expectations, but also beliefs about that senior leadership level and not really seeing them as humans.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying here.
They're getting the big bucks. They can deal with the pressure kind of thing. I had an HR person, I'm not going to say what company, who I had a team on the West Coast. I'm trying not to be very transparent here. So a team on the West Coast, and one of my people was feeling like she wasn't being paid enough. And so when I went to the HR leader, he very flippantly and with a lot of, force said, she gets sun dollars. What does she need more money for? What he was saying is the climate was very nice in this area that she lived in, and sun dollars for him made up for the lower than minimum wage life that she was living from an HR person. I just remember thinking, she gets sun dollars. Like, what? How does that show up in her pocket? Like that is not even, how do I go back to her and say this? So where was the support for me? And I was a young manager, entry-level manager, the type of people that we're talking about, where's their support? Like we need to, there's expectations. So now I have to go back to her and go, oh, well, I mean, you get sun dollars. Like I would never. I was
going to say, did you actually do that?
I couldn't see you doing that. Even, young, I knew that was not an okay thing. But it's all levels. It never stops. And building that kind of not only support, but also understanding for that, and allowing space for people to struggle.
Well, and as we're talking, I'm having additional thoughts here. And one of them,
so it's dangerous.
I know, right? One of them is, if that support doesn't or can't, and I would argue that it can, come from inside, how do we solve for that? Are there external support group? I don't want to say support groups. That sounds like a therapy group, but do you know what I'm saying?
Not really.
For leaders who, whether it be I don't want to call it a networking group, but a group of people that come together that share struggles and challenges from a leadership perspective. I don't know that anything like that exists. Could that be a solution where you almost have like a community?
I think there are forms of that.
Yeah.
I do. And I mean, honestly, Maria, I think there's an obligation from within the company to provide support.
I agree.
And you said, if there can be. And it starts at the top. It starts at those executive level people recognizing that there's some challenges that we've been going through and there's challenges ahead, being transparent and being vulnerable themselves. And I'm not talking about like showing up on, the team day, crying like, oh God, it's been such a rough, like, I'm not saying that. That to me is not vulnerability. And we talked about this in a previous show, but, actually owning, like, it's been tough. It's been tough for me. And I get it. And I can only imagine what you guys are going through. So be a human. The closer you are to the actual work and to the client and to the harder it is. And you are the face of the company. And so to not at the highest level recognize what you're asking people to do day in, day out, particularly at that middle leadership layer, there's so much coming at them from below and above. It's like being a middle child, right? and I feel like Rodney Dangerfield is about to say, I don't get no respect, but just shows how old I am. But seriously, like it's that stuck in the middle where, how do we support? And I do think it's through demonstrating, walking the walk, doing all the things.
Well, and even saying something as simple as, we recognize we're asking a lot of you.
Yes.
And
go so far.
And that doesn't solve for the skill gap, because that's still a really important piece to all of this.
Of course.
But it does help feel, again, that validation or that sense of they see that they're asking a lot of me, which, again, long term might not solve for everything, of course, but it just illustrates what we're talking about of just being human about it. So, I think this was just, I felt so important because it comes up on my end so often of like, we keep forgetting. We just keep forgetting that leaders, managers are struggling too.
Yeah.
And they're people too. And are there terrible people who are managers? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Are there also really great people who are trying to be good managers but don't know how and they're struggling? Yes.
Yes.
So, how do we?
Yeah. Well, and you said something else too that I wanted to go back to. You were mentioning that, and I touched on it a little bit, but we didn't go far enough, I don't think. When we're hiring somebody or promoting somebody, actually helping them understand what they're getting into. And seeing, and I tell my coaching clients all the time when they are trying to describe what it is they want next, like where they're going next. I always ask, do you want to manage people or do you want to manage things? Because they're very different things.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of cachet behind managing people. However, not everybody's built for that and not everybody wants that. And I'm okay with that. Like not everybody can lead people, not because, skill set or anything else, but just desire. That is okay. People are time sucks. And you know what? Some people are freaking awful. I'm being honest. Like there would be people that would come into my office and I'm like, oh my God.
Here we go again.
This one again. Right. Or another question. Like, holy crap. Like, please. So I'm being honest. Like I'm not for everybody and everybody's not for me. And so I'm also like tongue in cheek. I'm good at it.
You're I'm very good at hiding those feelings
but I
in
feel
the moment.
It. Like, and while they don't see me doing the, oh God, like, oh my God, please. But,
you want to give them some of those free shrugs.
No. So it's just, it's mind blowing to me that there's this expectation, though, that all of us who are in leadership positions, we like everybody. And, we've got to be whatever. We've got to be sunny sunshine. And we're just not, right? There's too much pressure to be sunny sunshine all the time. With that being said, our team deserves the best of us. And so balancing those things, having those moments of, oh God, not this one with, oh, yay. I'm so excited that I get to help this person or this thing or whatever it is. So there's a balance.
Yeah. What just occurred to me when you were talking is the topic of curiosity, which we talk about so often. And I don't necessarily want to dive into that right now, but if we all had more curiosity, I think we would solve for so much of this. So, help me understand what you're struggling with. And that means asking the leaders, asking the managers. That means checking in with your team members. That means those individual contributors. Those individual contributors also having curiosity around what their managers are dealing with.
I agree with you.
And that piece is missing because the expectation is when I come to work, my manager should be treating me a certain way. They should be giving me certain things. They should be promoting me, whatever it is, without any thought to what that manager is dealing with.
Yes.
And, I think there are gaps on both sides of the aisle here.
There are. And I also don't want to go down the path, but I have a lot of passion around that topic, about that curiosity, but also the expectations that certain people come in that I believe are unreasonable. And I don't want to talk about generational because I do think generationally things have changed quite a bit. And I also don't want to start saying back in my day, and I feel like I'm about to.
Let's hear it, Jeanine.
No.
What was it like back in your day?
Shut up. What did I say to you one time? You can F all the way off? I'm just saying that I think generationally the expectations over time have changed in what a boss is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure it's always reasonable. I mean, I know there are times when you are a therapist and certainly not trained for that. And there's times when you're a marriage counselor and there's times when you're a grief counselor and there's times like there's so much involved with being there for people. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. It just is a thing.
Yeah.
And, we are with our colleagues and peers, if you're going into an office, you are with those people more than you are with your family most of the time because of your waking hours or the daylight hours that you're with them. And so we do tend to create relationships, and we do tend to get to a place where, you're having conversations that are not just about business. They are about some of those other heavy things. And it feels like the expectation from maybe somebody above you is that you're not having those conversations. Everything is about work. And with those that are,
peers
or below you are that, you are supposed to be having this conversation with me.
Yeah.
And there's that push pull.
Yeah.
And so that curiosity that you talk about, has to go all around.
I agree.
Meaning the senior leaders, whatever.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. It's not one way. It is not one way.
It's
and
not.
To your point, again, this is a bigger conversation in terms of the expectations, whether it's generational or not. To an extent, in my opinion, it's good. Now, there were certainly things that needed to change. In terms of what we expect of employers and in what we expect of leaders and managers and so forth. And it's it's swung very far in the opposite direction, of course, and over the line in some cases, and that's kind of what I'm talking about here, which is the expectations are higher than they've been in terms of, how you have to show up or as a leader.
Well, you know what, Maria? I would say in some cases, the expectations are higher than they've ever been, but also lower than they've ever been. Here's an example. When I first started working for my last company, the day that I showed up was actually, I had moved to be part of this company, and I pull into the parking lot and I'm watching people walk into the building, and it was a building that had more than just our company. There were other businesses in that building. And so sitting in the parking lot, I'm watching people, and I remember this one person in particular walking in wearing like torn shorts and not flip-flops, but some kind of shoe, and then kind of like a t-shirt that had holes in it. Their hair was multicolored. They just looked disheveled. That would be the way I would describe them. And thinking, God, I hope they don't work for me. And they did. They ended up being like one of my employees. And there were like quite a few of those things. And there was a time when going to work, was I don't want to say it was an event. Like, I don't expect people to wear pumps and dresses every day. It's not the 50s. But there was, you would dress. You didn't wear torn pants and, whatever. And that's what I mean when I say the expectations were lower, because I believe in you dress for the job that you want, not for the job that you have. And I believe that the way you show up for work, means something and translates into something. It means you care. Yeah. And so I do think that's also an antiquated way to look at it, because I think people want to be comfortable, and maybe they do their best work when they're comfortable. So I definitely see all of the sides. Yeah, but
I do. I am different. So far in the middle of this conversation that it's almost like I have opposing viewpoints of it. I really do, because I remember the day. Now, my professional career has been really in, like, I worked in law firms and I worked in corporate offices. So that was a very business-centered environment. But we wore suits to work. Yeah. And, I remember my whole closet was
Tell me about it, Grandma.
My whole closet was
What? It just felt like we are talking about being like old people.
Are you calling me old?
I am, 100%.
Jesus. Okay. You're right. You're right.
It's okay. I mean, sorry.
It's okay. Continue. I had to come around to the idea. Yeah. So, and I'm so thankful that that's not the environment that we work in mostly anymore. Yep. And I remember where you would have casual Fridays where you could wear jeans if you paid $5 and that kind of thing. Yeah. Do you remember that?
I do.
And so I have still a good bit of that upbringing in me of you dress the part, you take pride in how you look when you go to work and so forth. I also have the other side of me that is more along the lines of what you're wearing should not have an impact on the value of your work.
I 100% agree.
And but yeah, it's hard for us, right? It is hard for us. And so I think for us, it's recognizing that if we want to talk about generations, like the younger generation, they didn't come up in the environment where you wore suits every day. They just didn't. Definitely. That was not a thing.
I agree.
And, that judgment that we have about it, whether it's right or wrong, I don't know.
I know.
And
I mean, no, I don't know. I know.
Yeah, it's tough. It is really tough.
And I don't want to make a judgment about it either. Or I do make a judgment about it. I don't want to. It's hard for me not to, because it is the way I was raised. It is how I came up in business. It's still important to me. With that being said, I work from home now mostly. When I do go into somebody else's office, I try to dress for that.
Right.
But
otherwise you're wearing free shrugs.
Otherwise I'm wearing free shrugs, and I'm wearing torn jeans. Right.
Yeah.
And so when I first went remote, I remember saying to somebody, and I don't remember who it was, but I'm going to really try hard to wear makeup every day and to still dress and wear a bra and, do all this stuff, right? To show up as if I was going into an office.
Yeah.
But then over time, you're on these calls all day and, it's from here up and like, okay, so then maybe I stop wearing a bra, but I'm still wearing makeup and I'm doing my hair.
You're sharing your secrets here, Jeanine.
So, and then eventually it's like, oh, I don't feel like putting makeup on today.
Yeah.
I've got how many calls? Who's my call with? Oh, it's fine. I don't have to wear makeup. It's just with the team. It's
so you get more relaxed.
And so you get more relaxed. And so I see it. Like I see it in myself. I do it. So it's so hypocritical to be like, I want them dressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think about it. And to your point, which I think was a really funny thing to say, that you're on both sides of it. So you can see, like, I don't know how you said it, but like you're almost seeing it. And same, but I'm also a Libra, so I do tend to see both sides a lot.
I'm a Gemini, so there you go.
Yes, because we're really into horoscopes. Do you ever say that?
I don't.
Libra?
That's the first time I've said that in quite a while, actually. But as an HR consultant and working with companies, I get to talk about policy sometimes.
Oh, sure.
Sometimes
dress code,
and dress code is certainly one of those where. I see the differences in how people, leaders perceive how we should approach this.
Absolutely.
And when we talk about dress code, that's one thing. We talk about tattoos nowadays or piercings. And, we can't hire that person because they have, piercings. And I'm like, so these are conversations that
how
are
does
tough
that impact
to have.
their job? And that's what I try to, again, I can see it. I feel that you see it, it's like, ooh. But how does it impact their job and their ability to do their job? And it doesn't.
Yeah.
Are they going to be with clients every day? Do we think it's going to impact the client? Maybe.
Yeah.
That's the only time where I can see it. And you knew this, that I was at one of my other companies, and I think we actually talked about it here, about the woman wearing the same exact outfit as someone else. And I became this fashion police thing.
Yeah.
The other policy at that company was a dollar bill, this way. And so I still think about that. I still have that kind of rigidity in my thought process. But when it comes to piercings and tattoos, I don't have that same thing. I don't know why, but I don't. Like some of it's the dress, not some of it, like dress for sure.
Yeah.
When I see, people related to me, wearing shorter or less than desired, I want them to put more clothing on.
Cover up.
To cover up. Some of it is because like, but then the other part of it is like, I want people to see you differently. I don't want them to see you this way. And truthfully, maybe people don't. Maybe that's about me. But
I think, oh gosh, this is, way down a rabbit hole here.
Of course, but that's what we do.
I think the question is.
That's what we should call the show, the rabbit hole.
Yeah. That's version 2.0.
Okay, that's our next podcast.
We may reinvent ourselves. Yes.
Let's be bold.
Why didn't we think of that? No one steal that, please. We're using it next. We're claiming it.
What is that? TM. We've trademarked it. That's how you do it, by the way. You just have to do this and it's done.
Does that suffice for the trademark office? Okay. Yeah. That used to be my field I worked in. I would tell you probably not, but we'll see. Yeah.
It's changed. Anyway.
Yeah. I think this lends to a conversation around, when you say, is it client facing or customer facing? And what are people going to think? The person in your family that you worry about how people are going to perceive them. Like, why should those people be perceiving them in that way? We could go round and round and round and round in this. And how do we buck the trend of society a little bit?
Yeah, like you said.
How do we be more bold of going against the grain going against our own expectations, Jeanine, of what we expect.
I don't know, Maria. I mean, so I'm going to go here. So think about, as you know, I am trying to date.
Oh.
Trying to date.
Did I know that?
Yeah. You did.
I love your dating stories.
Failing, by the way, but I am trying to date. And this is like a story of expectation.
You're not failing. They are failing, to be clear.
I don't disagree. But what starts happening is the same thing you just said about perception. Yeah. Right. And why should it matter? They don't get to judge what they are doing. Right. So it's my niece. She can dress any way she wants and it shouldn't matter to other people. But the reality is it does.
It does.
And at her age and what people might think of her, you know, that's a me problem, but I'm always worried that it's going to become a her problem, meaning that somebody's going to act on something because we live in a very twisted world. And so that concerns me. And so when I think about it from like some of the stuff that I hear from these potential suitors, as my dad used to say, people want to keep company with you. So funny. Anyway, these potential suitors and the things that they say, the first thing I think of is, what am I putting out there that they think it's okay to say that to me? And so you know what I'm saying? Like I'm automatically putting it on myself. What am I doing that makes them believe that they can do this?
You're victim blaming.
Or shaming. I'm victim of my own self. So do I have something, like do I have a picture out there that's inappropriate to me? Do I say something in my profile that leads you to believe that you can say that you want to like strip me down and like on a first conversation? Like, no, there is nothing that I'm saying, but my first thought is, what am I putting out there?
I don't know.
We're not doing therapy.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Find a way, because this is a talk show and we have to talk.
It is. We do have to talk. I need to process this though, because I'm very, wow.
Yeah. So
your first reaction is not, you're an ass. It's
that too, but they'll simultaneous, like, you asshole. And what did I do to make you think that was going to be okay?
Wow. That feels very heavy.
It doesn't feel heavy to me.
Okay.
Really
okay. Do you feel like it's just like self-accountability, or do you feel like it truly is shame and blame? And I'm really interested in this.
You know, I don't know that I've ever categorized it as shame and blame until us talking here right now, because of the arc of this conversation.
Yeah.
You know, made me think about what I'm saying about others. Like, I think you should dress differently. And I think that I'm projecting, like I'm putting how I feel, not necessarily feel about myself. Like, cause I'm wearing a sweatshirt that's up to my neck. I don't have my boobs hanging out. Like I'm appropriate.
Yes.
Like even in my torn jeans, I'm not showing anything other than knee.
Right.
Right. So I've always been appropriate. I've always been kind of modest, maybe a little bit of a prude. I don't know, maybe. And so I think maybe it comes from that. I don't know. Like, unless you want me to lay down and we can start having this conversation in a different way.
So maybe you just need to be more open to these conversations.
But I'm not, because I think it's like, what the heck?
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I mean,
how do you respond to that? I'm curious to know. So the example you gave, and that was an entry point.
It was an entry. So how it actually went was, so Facebook has this whole dating thing, and if you mutually say yes, then that person, or that you can speak to them or they can speak to you. And so I saw on this guy's profile, so he initially said, I like you, basically, by checking yes.
It reminds me of those notes we used to pass.
I love those notes.
Do you like read yes or
check
no?
Yes. So basically I got my little note and check yes. And so you can either swipe right or swipe left. It's not Tinder, it's Facebook, but you can swipe right or left. And when I was looking at his profile to see, like, his picture was okay. And so I was reading, and a lot of times people don't put anything at all, but he had a little something there, and it showed he was 6'10". And I was like, holy crap. So he opened with, and I'm not going to get it right, and since I won't be able to see it anymore, but something to the effect of, promise me when you fall in love with me, you won't stalk me. And I actually thought it was fairly funny, because you get a lot of dumb stuff Like, how are you?
I was just going to say, we talked on a previous episode. You don't want them to say, how was your day?
I don't. I want them to say something
this
that
was
they
more unique.
So it was more unique and whatever. And so I responded, I make no promises.
Yeah.
And then he came back. And then under that, I said, are you really 6'10"? Mm-hmm. Because again, that stands out.
Yeah.
And it shows I was reading your profile.
Right.
And so his response was, do you want to measure me? And then in addition to do you want to measure me, it had like an eggplant, a tongue, and something else that I was like, oh, come on.
Here we go.
Whatever. But it was 12:30 at night, which, as you know, I'm usually in bed way before that. So I was already tired.
Yeah.
And so I responded with, I'm too tired to think of something creative. So for now, I'll just say, wow.
Okay.
And my wow wasn't
I'm impressed.
It wasn't an I'm impressed. It was like, wow. And so I went to sleep. I got up this morning and there was a message from him that said something to the effect like, I wish I could strip you down and massage you to make you feel better. At no point did I say I wasn't feeling well. I said I was tired.
And this is someone who you've had no conversation with.
Like what I just described to you is the entire interaction that we've had.
Yeah.
And, his pictures, he looked pretty respectable, bald, like T-shirt. He's here in Florida.
If that was even him.
If it was even him.
Yeah.
He didn't look enormous, like 6'10" in his pictures. And so it was like astonishing to me that he was. But that was our entire interaction. Yeah. And so to immediately go there, not only first I blocked him. I blocked him because I have nothing to say to you.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to talk about sexual innuendo in our first few minutes of having a conversation.
Right.
And I wouldn't even do this stuff if somebody like you didn't convince me that I needed to put myself out there.
Gosh.
I'll be honest, but it's not like I'm leaving my house. So unless somebody knocks on my door.
Yeah.
So I know I have to do something to put myself out there. But like this is the kind of things that you get. I also had the one guy who reached out. Are we really talking about this? Do you want me to?
I mean, you went there, so we're in it.
The one guy who his profile, the only thing that it said is, I have ED. And I had a recent brain bleed, so I'm still recovering from that. Why do you want to date somebody right now? Take care of your business, man. So his erectile dysfunction and a brain bleed. Like, I don't want to take care of you.
That's the only thing he wanted you to know on his profile?
That is correct. There was nothing like...
That's the more concerning thing, in my opinion, is that was all he wanted you to know about him.
Well, and everybody, because I'm not the only one that can see his profile.
Yeah. Or I guess maybe you could approach it from the angle of he just like, here's my shit. And if you can accept this, then you're for me.
I guess, but maybe say some other stuff too, so that you know, like, man, he's going through some tough times, but he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
You don't even know that. You just know that he has erectile dysfunction. You're trying to date me. You have erectile like that. I don't want to say it's a deal breaker, but you want to know some things. Or the guy who thinks because I don't like beards, and I say that I don't like beards, that they're going to convert me by going, wait till you feel it on your thighs. What?
Oh my gosh, Jeanine. I'm first of all, I feel now responsible because you said that you wouldn't be doing this without me. But I was acting in your best interest, not necessarily, maybe Facebook isn't the right place.
Maybe it's not, but to bring it back.
I never suggested Facebook, just to be clear.
You didn't, you're right. To bring it back, I mean, when you start thinking about expectations, you start thinking about, my expectation of like online dating is in some ways those stories that you hear, like I met my husband and, or I met my wife and whatever. And the reality is so far from that, at least from what I've seen. And so do I lower my expectations then?
Oh, this is a whole other topic.
Right?
Lowering of expectations. Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't.
I'm not going to.
So here's what I'm going to say. Knowing you and knowing your level of expectations, I would say.
Sorry. It was an ABBA song. There is nothing we can. No? Knowing me. No. Yeah, it's ABBA. Mamma Mia? No?
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, everyone, for that.
Yeah, you should apologize for yourself for not knowing that song.
I'm not saying I don't know it, but maybe I just haven't recognized it because of your tone.
Which was right on pitch. Delusion much? Yes.
Oh boy, where was I headed?
I don't know. Expectations lowering.
Yeah, I recognize, and I think you should recognize, and you already do, that there really isn't any way for you to lower your expectations because you have a lot of them.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, there isn't. Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
Yeah, if that expectation is to not have somebody want to strip me down, not even meeting me.
Perfectly reasonable.
Or rub their beard on my thighs. Or tell me about their personal problems that are currently going on. Like, I certainly don't lead with, I get dry. And I'm just kidding. But I seriously, like, you just think about the most embarrassing thing that you can say yourself and lead about yourself and lead with that. Like, that just doesn't feel like you're trying to date somebody, right? And for the most part, when you first start out dating somebody, it's in that, like, sweet phase, right?
Yeah,
it's
show me all your best parts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if you aren't starting at your best place, you're starting at your worst place, where do you go from there? I mean, that's the way I think about it.
There's nowhere to go but up. I mean, well.
Oh, man.
We're going to have some editing to do.
We are going to have some editing to do. We should have been clapping because that's part of the signal. But with that being said, so how do we bring it back? Bring it back. Come on, Maria. Bring it back.
Whew. Wow, this got, as we said, we take quite the adventure sometimes.
We do.
Many detours. And I think really what we can talk about here is the need for all of us to edit our expectations.
No, I don't like that.
Okay, let's
find a different rap. You're pretty good at the rap thing, so let's try again.
Okay. It's your turn.
Oh, boy. Okay. So when we talk about expectations... When we come in with these preconceived, this is the way things should be, we're setting ourselves up for, I don't want to say failure, but we are setting ourselves up. And so being curious instead of having an expectation is probably a more helpful thing to do, whether it's in leadership, in business, personally,
in dating,
in all of the arenas that we find ourselves in at this point in our lives. Having that curiosity versus expectations is probably a much more helpful place to be.
Perfect.
Nailed it.
You really did. You're good at this. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you've enjoyed our episode today that we've gone many places
left
today.
Turn and I went to the right.
Yeah, that checks. That checks.
It does. It checks.
Yes. So we're happy to have you here with us. If you've enjoyed this conversation, as always, please like, subscribe, share,
follow, share,
whatever.
We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. Is it iTunes or is it Apple?
I don't know. I just refer to it as Apple Podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah, so, YouTube, all of the places, of course.
All of the places.
We're always happy to have you with us.
You can email us.
brainsgonebold@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes. It's possible we'll have some opinions on today's episode, and that's okay.
We went some places.
Yes. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.